Yo, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Britball YouTube channel, and today we are doing another off-topic kind of video from our 32-part series in which we're going to be looking at the best edge rush prospects in the 2021 draft upcoming. There is a lot of talent to choose from because this is a very saturated depth position in this year's draft class. It wasn't easy picking out the top 5, and I'm pretty sure it's different to what mainstream like know-it-all draft analysts and NFL analysts have chosen. We think it's different, but this is just for what we've seen, what we think is the pros and cons. So it'd be interesting to see what you guys think in the comments or the viewers at all. But before we do get into the video, there is always one very important message that we need to get into.
If you guys enjoy this video, of course, please show your support, please subscribe. It's obviously totally free. And we hope you guys enjoy this video.
And this is in order from 1 to 5 as well. So this is what we think is the best prospect to the 5th best prospect in the draft. Starting with
watch tape, done our scouting reports, and our number 1 overall out of the edge rush class is Kwity Paye, coming out of Michigan. And you're going through the pros.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
In terms of pros for this person, he is he's probably the most athletic edge rusher there is in this year's draft, and he's very versatile and is probably most appealing to all franchises because he can run both in and outside of a tackle. Most edge rushers tend to go outside, but this guy's no preference. He chooses whichever way the tackle is leaning most, and he goes the opposite. He's very smart. In terms of tackling, he doesn't mess around. He goes straight in. He's got his hand use is excellent, pushing tackles off.
Something that not a lot of the others have. They rely on their athleticism, but he can use his hands.
And he's very flexible as well. As in, if the ball goes past him or it goes left or right of him, he's very flexible to move off the tackler straight to the ball. He's very good at switching. In terms of stats, his best career year is 2019, in which he got 12 games with 50 tackles, 12.5 for a loss. That's a very high amount. 6.5 sacks as well. So that is very. If you put that up in the NFL, you'd be very proud. But he's doing it in college, so fair play to him.
You run through the cons.
In terms of cons, this is quite a common theme throughout all the edge rushers, is that they aren't the bulkiest of people, they aren't the biggest, and he's also a 4-3 defensive end. He won't really fit a system at 3-4. And in terms of the run, we put a question mark because we're unsure. It's not exactly proven at the moment that he would be bad against the run in the NFL, but it's something that if it does happen, you shouldn't really be surprised because it isn't a strong point in college. But we'll have to see when he gets in the NFL. But we think he is the number 1 prospect.
Yeah, and the bulk thing's more like he is a big guy. You can see that, but it's more his preference sometimes to go inside. You don't know whether he'll be able to do that in the NFL level, given his current size. But his pro comparison, we've gone for Brian Burns, one of Carolina's best players, of course. We've basically said that because similar sort of size, they're both hand in the dirt, defensive ends. And they both play in a really explosive, quick style. We think they're pretty similar. That is our thesis on Kwity Paye, the number 1 for us.
Azeez Ojulari, and it's probably worth pointing out, the reason why the potential landing spots are so high, Bills being at 30th overall, is because the teams below them who need an edge rusher all run 3-4 as opposed to 4-3, and this person is 4-3 heavily orientated, so you wouldn't see the Browns who really need an edge rush take him because it doesn't really fit their system. So the Bills and Vikings both run 4-3, hence why we've got this.
This isn't our who do we think is going to go highest. This is who we value the most.
Yeah. Hence why this person's got lower potential landing spots, but I'll let you take it.
So we got the big guy from Georgia, Azeez Ojulari. This was a really good set of tape to watch. I mean, some of the things, the snaps just happening. It's like he's got a second quicker than everyone else. His first step's really, really explosive, and he's already at the running back's throat, already at the quarterback's throat for some of the plays. Great anticipation. He moves off tackles like they're not there, and he can really go around the outside like really quick, push the tackle away, or just use his speed to run through. He's also really strong and can tackle, take people's heads off. Some of the clips we saw were very, very good. In his college stats, he had a really good 2020. In only 10 games, 9.5 sacks, so pretty much 10, and 12.5 tackles for loss. And yeah, very, very impressive player. But he does have some cons.
Again, lacks the bulk. It's another edge rusher that doesn't have the build probably that is desired. He can get caught out of position from time to time. If he probably there's a bit sometimes where he goes too full steam ahead and forgets whereabouts where he is. He's too focused on getting the ball and actually forgets where he should be standing. And he has to play 3-4 opposite to Quiddy Pay. He has to play 3-4 just because of the pure fact that he is not the biggest of people, like size, bulk, length, whatever. So he has to play 3-4, and that is why the potential landing spots are a lot closer to home, where the teams do run 3-4, which is the Giants, Dolphins, Titans and Browns. All of them probably could use edge. Not all of them will take it. And in terms of pro comparison, Yannick and Ngakoue, both fairly small edge rushers, but they're very quick off the mark. I think it's a fair comparison.
Yeah, the only bad thing about the comparison is Ngakoue can play in a 4-3, but we feel like Azeez Ojulari is definitely more ideal for a 3-4 role, and he'll take a couple years to adapt if he does move into that Ngakoue role.
Third best, am I taking it or are you?
You're taking it
cool.
At the start, yeah.
Third best, we've got Gregory Rousseau, and if he didn't have a very limited pool of tape to analyse, because he's only really been in the position a year or so properly, he'd be so much higher because we love this person. He's so good at the tape. But in terms of pros, just quick as anything. Tackles, he's merciless. He's a very, very hard tackler, and he's very flexible as well, just like previous edge rushers, in where if the ball's behind him, left, right, he will switch. He's very flexible in the transition from rushing the quarterback to, say, rushing the running back who has gone past him by now. He's very, very quick. In terms of quickness, off the mark, again, as soon as the whistle is blown, he's off straight away. And in terms, if the ball's gone past him as well, he's very, very determined in the fact that he will chase that running back down the field, no matter if he's run past him already, because he's very quick. He will catch up to him. He will chase him ball downfield. In terms of the best stats, again, 2019.
Monster stats.
Yeah, 13 games, 54 tackles, 19.5 of them for a loss, 15.5 sacks in 2019. That is ridiculous. Con-wise, again, like I've said, not much experience. Oh, sorry, you're doing the cons as well, yeah. I've already said one of them, but... Yeah,
so we've touched on the lack of experience before, limited pool of tape, and one of the cons that isn't on there is his size. It's a good thing, but is it a bad thing? Because as our pro comparison says, there's no one really in the NFL at 6'7" and a kind of wiry frame. He's not the biggest. He's quite thin. At 6'7", playing in the position, haven't really seen many like him. So we don't know if he'll be able to translate to the next level. But he does get knocked off balance quite easily. A lot of tackles pressing low. You can go low on him. He can get shifted. And as that says there, he relies on athleticism a lot, like speed, his burst, going around. We haven't really seen him get dirty, get nasty, move with his hands, move tackles. And is that something he can do at 6'7"? You're not sure. But his potential landing spots, definitely a high upside guy. I really like him going to the Browns if he's still on the board, which is probably not. But if he can go there and he can mould into that system, he's a project, and learn under Myles Garrett, who better to learn off.
Yeah, fair enough, I agree. Jalen Phillips into the pros.
Yeah, so now we've got Jalen Phillips, someone who didn't play too much. He had a lot of issues throughout college. Obviously played at UCLA and in Miami. But one of the main selling points of Jalen Phillips, he can play 3-4 outside linebacker or 4-3 defensive end. He's extremely versatile in that manner, and we haven't had that with many of the other ones. He's really good speed. He can go inside or outside like Quiddy Pay. He's got the first step quickness. He can defend the run. He's really do-it-all guy. But there is some question marks on his game, of course.
Yeah, in terms, again, not much bulk, similar theme. he can be controlled by single blockers, so he doesn't really have that many answers to when a blocker is in front of him, and being persistent. You know, that's where some edge rushers think on the spot and they try and expose the weakness. He kind of just hits a brick wall, doesn't really know what he's doing. In terms of the tackling, he isn't the hardest, but we are big fans of a person who can decapitate people, go straight hard into the tackle. He can't do it as well. And injuries, multiple concussions. That's why I had to leave UCLA and join Miami, because they weren't happy with the amount of injuries he's got. Hasn't had that many in Miami, but you know, it's not. It won't stop him getting them in the NFL. Pro comparison: Cam Jordan and potential landing spots. This is going to look. We think it's going to be more of a late first round pick in the Titans, Bills, obviously. But there have been some mock drafts where he goes as high as the Browns. He could even be the Vikings. We don't know. This is he could either go midway through the first round or right at the end. We don't really know, but we think it's the fourth best prospect.
Yeah, and one of the big things that we did judge him on is that tackling, because we've just seen a lot of his tape. He's just throwing an arm out. He's not a sure tackler at all. The technique is pretty bad, and we're pretty much aficionados for big hits and good tackling. So number 5,
and our 5th best prospect is Joseph Versaille, and there is a few edge rushers that we have missed out, obviously, but we were fairly impressed with him. In terms of pros, as soon as the whistle goes again, or as soon as the ball is snapped, he's off straight away. Big tackler. He's probably one of the hardest tacklers out of the top 5 prospects. If the ball's not with him, he will go and chase it down without a question. He's very athletic in order to land to chase the ball down. And he's a very, very big defensive end, in fairness. In terms of his best year, again, 2019. Because I think a lot of these edge rushers have opted out in 2020, but his was 2019, in which he got 13 games, 90 tackles, 13.5 for a loss, and 5 sacks. So fairly impressive stats as well. And then I'll let you take the cons.
Yeah, so one of his main cons, the instincts don't come naturally to him. Sometimes he can be caught searching. He's not rocketing up. Sometimes he doesn't quite know where the ball is. And he can be vulnerable to getting slowed by blocks just because his hands aren't the best. He relies on his step and speed. And Rousseau, he doesn't have the nasty grit to really work for his hands. But then he hasn't really needed to, because he can blow by people. So who knows, he could get nasty. And then the pro comparison, we've gone for TJ Watt. They're both similar sort of size, both same skill sets, even though TJ Watt has got immense instincts. So that is a bit of a ceiling. So we went TJ Watt minus, because he's not exactly like for like so far. But yeah, we think he's going to go late first. We'd love to see him. If he falls to the Bucks, that would be a great piece. I don't know where you'd fit him. You'd have to rotate him in. But, I mean, there's no other better place to go to right now on that defence. But I'll take him on the Bills personally as a Bills fan. And I'm sure many other teams would take him. High upside guy. And that is our top 5, everyone. Yeah, so let us know what you guys think. Some controversial, leaving people out maybe, and the order's definitely controversial. We're really high on Kwity Paye, and we've explained why.
Yeah, Kwity Paye was a person who was probably 3rd best edge rusher at the very start. As soon as the season ended, everyone was looking straight to the draft, and he was probably 3rd. In recent weeks, he has shot up along with a few people straight into that first position, I think. Gregory Rousseau was 1st, and now he's 3rd for us. You know, it's all a matter of opinion, but anything can happen in the draft, and there is a shock every single year. Will it be an edge rusher? I don't know. There is a lot of pull, so most likely will be an increased chance that it will be an edge rusher. But we'll have to wait and see. That is our opinion. Don't slate us. It's just how we see the tape. So
yeah. Next up is corners, and if you guys enjoyed the show support, as always, we'll catch you guys next time.